All right. Welcome, everybody. This is Dynasty, the podcast show. I am your host, Ira Bush. I just want to say thank you for tuning in. Today's show is called Intellectually Frustrated. I really want to say like this. It's like no, sometimes I talk about intellectual. Sometimes how it goes, but I felt like today is one of those days where it's like somebody's I'm gonna be talking about spiritual like attacks, but sometimes I feel like you somebody's trying to think for you, and it's so to the way the world is set up. It's so high level of people trying to tap into your database, to your ancestral background, and all these different witchcraft and warcraft type of things going on, that they don't really look into what they have to do. So, today I woke up feeling like, is people really trying to, it ain't, my blueprint already out. It ain't nothing that you need from me personally. My blueprint already been copied, paste. I done written things over and over. It's not nothing new that I need to tell you. So, just mind yours, just kind of, start thinking for yourself and go off what you want to do off what I've already put out into the world, into the universe. And one thing I'm a little frustrated about is that there's actually people that are attacking, in a manner of, they out here trying to feed off kids' energy. There's like people next door neighbors I have that they're real weird about, not minding their business. They're not from this country, so I don't know if they feel the title that just because you're like, you know, I'm confused about why they're in my energy, in my business. You get what I'm saying? It's like, you know, I'm confused about that, So I just be looking at it like, hopefully, my spirits are not lowered. But once my child gets attacked, once you go into the database of trying to attack my child, then I have to get on the aggressive side. I have to get on the offensive side. And the way I'm going to get offensive and aggressive is going to be completely different. I'm going to handle you in a manner where you feel like you want to leave this country. I'm not going to handle you in a manner of putting my hands on you unless you put your hands on me physically. So when you go spiritual, I'm going to go even bigger spiritually. I'm going to go even bigger with my spelling and words. Like, I'm going bigger, just expressing this out into the world. So, just be mindful how you attack people. Your roots and my roots are not the same. So when it comes to these situations, that I got to handle you way different. And it's big when it comes to like people being jealous of me speaking in this way and speaking up for myself and speaking up for people that don't have a voice. And it took me a while to kind of, actually, it's like, in the communities I've been in, it's not predominantly my skin color or just me being in school. It's not predominantly, especially in the ranks of authority, these people who feel entitled to, being in some kind of control or some kind of capacity of control. And I'm in Florida, so this state has always been a state that's looked as black versus white kind of thing. It's always been like that. So it's one of these states where people still have the slave mentality, and this enslave a black man to do all the work. And it's kind of like it's a changing of the guards. That's why the world stopped. That's why COVID happened. All that stuff happened because people wasn't getting their way. Now, with all that being said, I'm gonna go and make sure I'm not missing nothing in my intro. Um, I talked about how do you protect your family when I want to before I go into my first segment of what I'm talking about politically today. How do you protect as the man of your family when rules and regulations of the Constitution are set up against you? Now, as a young person, I always thought about this because how the way people treated me. I've never been a mean person. I never been, my family has, and I'm talking about I'm just start off in an intermediate family. My mom, my grandmother, my dad, my grandfather. These people have been slandered. This is just the tree I'm coming from. Grandfather, grandmother on both sides. My mom and dad, both sides. You know what I'm saying. These people have been slandered and attacked out in the world, inside, internally, and other family members. And it continues with my generation. I chose to not combat family. I don't mind what they say or do, as long as it's not physical. So my biggest thing now is to really galvanize the children to not go into that gossip world of negativity and try to teach them the things I learned. I always speak on these things because this is what this show that I'm talking about is about. I'm finna get into bigger things and better things. So, we're gonna continue to grow. It's just like I could talk about certain like little incidents that happen in my everyday life, but it's like everybody go, your day never gonna be fully perfect. I started a little late today because I wanted to help my sister, but me and her didn't see eye to eye. I let her go, and I gotta still do my show. You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't a perfect day, but it still didn't. You can't let people bring your joy down, your spirit down, and you gotta continue to be the person that you want to be. So that's what just every day won't be perfect, but it is what it is. And that's pretty much and how I'm still trying to figure out how I can combat these things. Now, I'm gonna go right into it. I to follow up on what I was talking about with the mayors and all that. I had the funny thing is it's like all right, I'm gonna talk about it in another segment, but we're gonna move on. We don't want to stay too long on this. We're gonna go right into the message today on as far as political, and I got a message from Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries about the bill that they passed on 1 a.m. Tuesday. Oh, it was Monday. It was early 1 a.m. Monday morning. Sorry, correction. And that was coming off Sunday. Everybody sleep, getting ready for work the next day. They do all these straw man stories before with the white Africans. They called it a genocide because they had to leave the country. I don't know. Genocide was like millions of people getting killed, and it was an exaggeration. It was a blown up story that we didn't care and that we didn't need. All them people was Americans. They came over here. They got flew back over in their 757 jets and these high class army stuff that they sitting up here trying to create a war with these people internally, and they got found out. That's all that really happened. Whatever war they was trying to start, and this is just me looking outside, looking in, and I ain't even got no details on it. They done this old 1-2 punch routine to go start wars in countries that come back over. Oh, we don't know what happened. So they like to throw poison and then hide. So you can't be doing that. And then we go on to that same next day, going into the next day, they selling this big. It's called Big Old Beautiful Bill, which is okay. I don't know what is good. It's a lot of people are disagreeing with it. The Republicans are just sitting here championing it because whatever small business and I'm for small businesses, but that's not when they give out money to small businesses. It's a routine where they like to attack these people and they want these people to be successful right away, and they like to stump on these small businesses. And it gets real deep when you go into it because what happened in COVID when people was getting these PPP loans and stuff like that, people were actually getting like, whoever the loaners were, they were mad and they were trying to, some people didn't survive. You know what I'm saying? It was very that deep. It was that deep. And I'm not trying to say, you're not supposed to pay people back, but you got to give people time to build on success and to build rapport. And some people didn't get the opportunities. I remember I applied. I was in barber school and I applied for the a loan just to start like a little shop, and it wasn't gonna be just for barbering, but I was in tune with it. But they didn't give me my barber. It's so much that they did to me to try to steal my name and try to disrupt what I was doing. And like I said, my grandparents are very big. They're not. these not small people in the, especially in Florida, especially in the South. They're not, these are giants. These are people that, and these just, we not famous or anything. We just did a good job of being, they did a good job of being parents. They did a good job of raising their children. And, they got attacked for it. They got attacked for helping the community overall. People know. So, the same thing with my mother and my father. They, both of them my mother still gets spiritually attacked. My dad passed away from spiritual attacks and just people work and stealing his energy and work trying to work him to death and all kind of madness that happened to him at the end of his before he ascended. So I speak on that. My dad was very strong and powerful. He didn't speak a lot. He was always happy. So one thing he always tell me just stay out of trouble. And I kept that mindset. But I also know that I'm not the one that you really, I'm trying my best to stay on that mindset of just staying out of trouble and to go to the biggest heights without, you're gonna make people mad just being who you are, but it's gonna be something that I'm gonna do so great. And I know me speaking out is gonna lead to greater things. And then, like I said, I've helped so many people in the community that have tried to make what I do for a living as a career, make a quick buck off of it, and then they didn't return, they haven't came back around, or they missing the action, in the community. And the COVID been open what 3-4 years now, so that ain't the reason or excuse no more. So all that, and people make excuses on why they haven't gotten back into the greaterness and the thick of it. But I'm finna get right back. It's gonna be an extra gear that I'm finna get into when it comes to me being in the community. So, and getting back into it. So that's how I look at it. That's how I feel. And like I said, I'm gonna play this clip, and we're gonna go from there. This is about the bill that they passed, and I'm gonna let y'all hear. I'm gonna get my opinions on his thoughts. Okay, I'm gonna go to another part of this you know, I call it a public announcement and just speaking on the bill, the whatever that bill they just signed. And I'm gonna let you continue to hear what he was saying. Did somebody asked the question about, HBCU colleges, and they got somebody that's Caucasian that's trying to run the school, and when I this is like hitting touching home because the school was FAMU that they were talking about. And I have several family members that are, got big footprints just being going to that school, graduating from that school. I was in Tally for like almost a year. I was in the community over there. I did softball as a coach. And I also helped start a prep school as well. It wasn't a long period for the prep school, but I did it, I put my little sprinkle of flavor in there, and I didn't leave it on bad terms really. So I don't look at it as a bad thing. That when I was there, I did enough for the community. I did some for the community. I could say that, and I could go back and do this. Even anywhere in Florida, I could go and create as far as helping the community. But that's not about me. I'm gonna let you hear what his response when the guy asked the question. And like I said, I got family members that graduated from there, so this can definitely that person being you should what he basically trying to say is being a Caucasian and you trying to come and change the black history you want it to be like regular colleges. It's not never going to be like that. You have to put people in position. So he just giving his opinion on why he thinks it's going to fail. So I'm gonna let y'all listen to that. Okay, now I love what he was saying during his like because he was very detailed. I was just telling you why, but he went on talking about how white ideology is not the way. White ideology has failed so generations after generations, a century after century, decades after decades. It's been proven. These people did not know how to clean their own. They did not know how to clean themselves. This is facts. This is factual. These people, all they did was imitate and mock what the highest power being that they seen do. These people went over and destroyed establishments in Africa, in Europe, wherever it was black people that had already established in, in Mexico, wherever it was established at, they went and destroyed it with war and destruction. And they keep trying to put this whole energy of we're being attacked. No, you're in the position of you in the way. Get out the way. Go get out the way completely. That's really what I just felt from this is what I've been saying these last few weeks. Like they're in the way. They're like got this made up notion that we have to abide by their stupidity and their dumb ways of doing things. Like we don't want to go by that way. It's over for y'all. Like move aside. We have the people, we have the leaders to go in here and be successful and make this country better and make the world better. Period. Y'all have attacked some of the greatest leaders in the world. I could go down the list. I'm gonna do a special show probably next week. I don't want to promise it, but I'm gonna do it soon. I'm gonna go down the list of all the leaders that they killed, that they and put in chains and shackles. I don't care if they called them a gang member. I don't care if they called them. They done put everybody in under the book. They try to put everybody as a gang member. They try to put everybody as a drug addict. So that's the first thing they do when they tear down black and brown leaders. So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna, we're gonna go down the list and make people remember that they're gonna keep trying this 1-2 punch of destroying black and brown, African descended, native leaders. So, we're gonna keep it moving. I love what he was saying and what he was talking to. This was a 20-minute, 22-minute you know, I guess it was an interview and guess like a what do you call them? Announcement or a briefing. Yeah, that's what the word was they used. But yeah, it was good. It was definitely good. But we're gonna continue. Now this is more of my thoughts and of what I was was gonna talk about a little bit on the community side, but you know I played that, but it was a lot of stuff on my mind, and I'm like, what are we doing federally to really help our communities? I'm speaking on this like there's a lot of madness going on. Are they stealing all the government forms for golf tournaments, parties, vacations, and made up Caucasian wars that you know that does not involve what I was just talking about. They don't involve the people that are really the engine of the world, like of the the resource of the internal energy that we bring in what's going on. They got to figure out how to like stop being evil. You get what I'm saying? They don't know how to stop it. They want to continue to be evil, but it's like, why? We don't care what you do. We leave us alone. Rub hands together for yourself. We don't want to rub, you know what I'm saying? Like, just figure it out. It's already getting to that point where y'all showing y'all face, and it's getting very ugly and very bad out here. And that's how I look at it. Now, let's continue because I don't want to go too much into that. Okay, this is funny. I remember I was telling y'all Pompano kind of stepped up when they answered the phone, and whoever the secretary was, she, I called them yesterday, mind you. And then at first she was like, "I'm going to give you the email." And then when I'm getting off the phone, I was like, the email, okay. No, she said she was gonna give me an email. Then she's like, "Oh, now I'm gonna give you the phone number." And I wrote down the phone number thinking it's a direct line to the actual the Pompano mayor is Rex Harding, and he did not look. The lady answered the phone, and you know what's crazy? My daughter's middle name is supposedly her name, so I don't know what kind of fraud or bot call they got going on in America, because they do all kind of craziness in Florida. I ain't gonna hate on them, but it was her. Well, I think it was her middle name when she was at birth. I'm not gonna go into all that, but I don't know if they're being funny, but I look at it like, are these people actually taking it serious? Like, I know they're wasting money, but like, I'm actually trying to figure out how to maneuver with what y'all actually putting out there. I'm not trying to sit here and be too nosy, but I don't want you to waste money. I don't want you to attack these children and think y'all gonna be some kind of they're gonna be some kind of energy. Y'all riding these energies of these high ranking children and these high powered beings, and then when they get build them up to tear them down later type of energy that they keep spewing out here in Florida across the board. So I'm trying to, me being a parent and my child getting older and my nieces and nephews getting older, it's time for me to like take charge of these dummies that's in office. And I don't want no dummies leading the youth. I don't want no dummies who are not trying to put established programs to help, adults. And, they want you to take all these classes to get these certifications through the school board. They don't have enough that's not through the school board, so people won't feel awkward about going into these schools. And all these people that have got smeared, and they mad because their mom or your cousin, or they got all these reasons of why you can't be the person you say you are. So whatever, mom, dad, whatever their excuse is, they need to figure out when that person presents himself and he speaks what he sees, or she or he, whichever it may be, let it be what it is. Stop trying to pass prejudgment. Some of the worst thing it is like these people who give these judgments, and you go, I'd be like, go look into their past and look into their families, and these people that so-called are up here as not politicians, but people that work in the community already, people that work in these federal buildings. These people are not great people, and these people have killed and stabbed and clawed their way to get these positions, and it is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't. So I'm letting you know they ain't perfect neither. So don't be trying to judge people that actually have the ability to 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 put you in a successful light. And that's my message on that. And like I said, Pompano, you started off okay. I'm gonna be there. I like the next. I'm definitely gonna be there next Tuesday. There's a town hall meeting over there in Pompano. I'm gonna be there 6 o'clock. I definitely gonna be able to speak. They told me to come 30 minutes early so I could put my which call it. Just some concerns. Like, I'm gonna be down there at school June 10th as well. I might listen into a few more of these meetings. So before school ends. And I gotta, like I said, I gotta put the press on these people because my child is going into a whole new light going into middle school. So I'm trying to make sure the red carpet is clear, and she got her being a star student in her own elementary. I want her to be this, have the same. I want her to have the same success when she goes to middle school. And like I said, they need to be able to have stuff in place in West and Palm Beach and Broward and all across Florida when these people are spiritually attacking these children. Because I look at it because I have a real discernment for this type of behavior, and both I don't know exactly who it is. I cannot afford private school, but private school don't be that much better. There's a lot of weirdos and people that go put their kids in school and they be doing the same type of energy as these public schools. So I don't mind not paying, being able to, my money can't be put in towards that. But, it's just like, it is how it is in Florida. It's a very tough place to live. It's more spiritual than it is physical now. So, we got control on that, the streets and the roads, but it's still a lot of weirdos and, demonic people still roaming around here. They need to find something to do. And I'm gonna speak on it all the time. So that's just how I feel. And the more you speak on it, the more they'll get the more that you're gonna put light on these people that they'll eventually get the message, or somebody eventually who has some kind of authority, instead of crying about trying to change what this person did and saying this person did this, but I want to do this. These petty bickering, these straw man stories that continue to go on. But let's move on. Like I said, Palm Beach, Broward. I didn't get to. Like I said, I was busy earlier. I didn't get to call Palm Beach, but we got a call to make that call tomorrow. The lady answered, I just hung up because she spent me, and I don't want to. I don't like people that lie, because she literally told me that was his number, but I already had that number. So hey, we'll try again. We'll see him next Tuesday at the meeting. I give him a piece of my mind. Then, I got the questions ready for him. Summer's coming up. I need to see what his money's being spent. Do they have things available for the youth? And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna move on to community. We're gonna move on to community. Okay, I just talked to y'all about me going to the meeting in Pompano, so that's very important. Now, my thing is summer camp. I speak about it. Summer camp. I'm going to be coaching basketball. I'm definitely going to be in some form of football. So whether it's little league or both little league and high school, or prep is high school, or high school or going into college, depending on what you decide to do. And I'm going to be heavily involved in the sports if I don't. It's gonna be heavily involved still, no matter what. I love doing it. It's not a job to me. So, just be, I'm back on the field, I'm back on the court. And I'm already back on the court. we start 2 weeks, I think it's 2 weeks from now, June 1st, no, June 2nd, 3rd, 4th. We got the combines. Like I said, sign your kids up. My biggest thing is there's a lot of stuff in these libraries, and that's going to be available if you're an intellect. So take advantage of these reading programs. There's stuff that offer, a lot of the cities have multiple libraries. So take the ones that are bigger. They have more available to you. They got the free lunch program. Usually have food, so they usually at the libraries. They usually might be at an elementary school by your house. So if you can't afford it, they usually serve lunch every day. So just be mindful of these programs. Stay active. Try your best. I really want to get these communities where they're having, and making it affordable for these summer camps. If they, I think summer camp was one of the funnest things I did. So hopefully just staying active. The youth, the teenagers don't get in trouble. Don't jump down with anybody and everybody. Stay in your own community. No, you don't have to stay in your community, but be mindful in your community. When you leave your community, just have that mindset. You represent your parents, your grandparents, and your whole family. So have that mindset that you got to be. And then the players that are playing fall sports, the gyms usually open at like second week of June, and be in there, take advantage of your own weight room. don't wait, don't the biggest jump your biggest jump for you to gain strength and endurance. And I ain't saying like for your playing endurance. I'm talking about your endurance as far as when you gain weight, when you gain muscle mass, and just to make sure you know you gotta actually do your endurance when you actually working out. Don't just pig out, gain 20 pounds, and you like, oh, I'm this guy. When you do your stretching, do your kinetics, and do your core workouts, do your mile run or whatever, go swimming 3-4 times, go to the beach, do your beach workouts. All this endurance stuff is important. Y'all know me. I'm not trying to make you the biggest, but I'm definitely gonna try to make you very strong. So I don't, my coach used to tell us don't eat a lot of dairy. They really didn't want to eat no dairy, but those are very important. Keep it lean. I know they tell you, I choose the what I choose is like fish, eat a lot of greens, spinach, green beans, rice and beans, use onions and peppers in your food. Just eat that, get that energy, get your fruit, your apples, your oranges, your mangoes, pineapples, get all that stuff intertwined in your, that's the stuff I like. So, put that stuff in your diet when you over the summer. Don't get lazy on that, because when you got your routine in the school year, all that stuff is like hand in hand. So your mom cook you dinner, you might eat a pizza and a bag of chips and a drink, but that's like salt and water. You run that off at gym, and then you got to practice or something, and you probably a 2-portion. You know how it goes. Like that ain't nothing. Then when you're in the summer, you gotta lock in. You gotta develop. You gotta take your game to a new height. So be mindful of that. Just have fun this summer, man, and that's for all the youth and all the teenagers. Like I was just saying, just have fun, enjoy it, and yeah, that's it for community. That's it for politics today. I try to get I try to keep you updated, so I don't want to spew on stuff that you don't really care about. All right, now we're gonna go into sports. NBA, y'all know the games tonight. The T-Wolves versus OKC for the Western Conference finals. Now game one, I'm just gonna give you who I already gave you. If you watched yesterday's episode, and who I think gonna win the first game. Okay, it's in OKC. The T-Wolves been off. They might be a little rusty for the whole week they've been sitting. The OKC was very hot. They won by I think almost 30 points, if not 30. So I'm gonna have to go with OKC on game one. But the T-Wolves are very tough. It's a very toss-up type of series. So we're gonna go with T-Wolves game one. And I ain't no better on nothing. I ain't betting on it. I'm just saying what I think is gonna happen. Just far as I still think this series gonna go 7 games, and I still need to see the first game. But that's why I'll go. And like I said, tomorrow is the Eastern Conference game one, so I ain't gonna give my opinion on that. Now, WNBA, the night's game, Las Vegas versus Connecticut. Key matchups: A'ja Wilson versus Tina Charles. These are 2 veteran players. They played in college. They've been, probably rivalries the whole time. And one with the South Carolina, one with the Connecticut. And, I think it's nice. These 2 are my favorite, WNBA players just to watch them. They're very, technically sound. They got every game, every I think Tina Charles has put her game out to the 3-point range. I don't think A'ja Wilson shoots a lot of threes, but they have every tool in their bag to make them great players, and they all at the top as far as scoring and rebounding. And these are very professional, true professional, Olympian athletes at the highest level. So it's going to be a good game. Both teams have young teams, so I don't know who the second tier player finna step up and be, that wing, that consistent player to help them too. These are very high level community athletes as women. A'ja Wilson, shout out, she just dropped her shoe from Nike. Tina Charles is very well known for her being in New York, just just her being in the community. So I love athletes like these, and they both are high level. So it's going to be a great game, and they're great for the league, and they still going hard. They still at the top of their game. So it's going to be nice to see. And they both look for their first one, so we're going to see how it goes. The second game is younger. You know, these players are younger. They're getting better. It's Atlanta versus Indiana. The key matchups will be Aaliyah Boston. I would like to see Aaliyah Boston continue to, be dominant. She played well against, when they got their win. And then, like I said, a more defensive-minded big and Brianna Jones rebounding and stuff like that. I want to see if she could continue against her. Excuse me, Brianna Jones. Excuse me if I said it wrong. And I just want to see if she could continue against that type of player that she's going to be going up against. She's very, I already described. So you gotta watch yesterday's show. So, but I like her game. She got a lot of tools in her bag as well. So I like seeing them play. Now the other matchup that is going to be very high, high level, is Alicia Gray and Caitlin Clark. Alicia Gray is a veteran. She had 25 points the first game, and she need, they probably gonna need to wrap it up and try to get their first win. But Caitlin Clark, is a budding superstar. She had a 20-point triple-double the first game. So it's gonna be a very, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark, they started off hot, and they got a lot of help on a team. It's a lot of people on that sideline and that starting five that could give you 20. I think 4 players had close to 20 points. So, that's a very well-balanced team. They got a lot of talent over there. So they might be in, if they continue out, because they didn't win a lot of games. They were very young. They still very young. So we just got to see how they develop and keep that momentum that they had in the first game. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Last night, the Nika McKay, I don't want to say it incorrectly. She had a great game, 18 points. The Seattle versus Dallas game, I spoke on it yesterday. And Skylar Diggins had a nice game. She hit a very high percentage for her three. She had 21 points. She did a good job being that point guard. And I had enjoyed the game. And and the only thing I seen from Dallas, they got to figure out who's going to be. They wasn't that organized as the Storm was, and Storm still got some young players on their team. So they did what they were supposed to do. The veterans came to play. They did a great job. So it was nice. I like what I saw. I like. I'm fans of a lot of those players on the Storm. So hopefully they have success and they continue to do their thing. And they got their first win. And Dallas the same way. They got a lot of players on there. I'm not gonna mention they didn't play. They just played a little, like everybody was like, oh, I don't know who's gonna be the leader of the team, but they got a lot of talent over there as well. So one of their, we'll speak on it more. We'll get back to it. But that's it. I ain't gonna keep y'all on. It was a long show, the last few shows, so we're gonna end it and wrap it up. Again, this is Dynasty, the podcast show. I'm your host, Ira Bush. Make sure y'all, I know I do the replays. Make sure y'all, it's gonna be bigger the more you gotta do this stack show on top of show, being consistent, doing what you're supposed to do. This is something I was supposed to, walk out of bed doing, walk out, just speaking, life into people, life into the world, and informing people on real stuff. Like I live a regular day every day. I don't exert energy on bull crap no more. I'm finna get right back into this sports and coaching, and it's gonna be so lit. Hopefully I can run into some of my old former players and stuff. Hopefully they in tune with the giving back in the sports way and the coaching way, and I get really turning back up like I had it when I was full time. So it's gonna be fun. And that's pretty much it, y'all. Y'all have a good day, good evening, and that's all. That's all we're gonna do.